Hey, welcome to Barker's Bikes. In this video, I'm going to be covering some height hacks that are used by motor officers to handle big, heavy Harleys like this, despite some of us being a bit vertically challenged. So if you or somebody you know has difficulty handling big, heavy motorcycles, such as a Harley or any other large, full-dressed bike, then this video is definitely going to help you. If we haven't met, I'm Justin Barker. I'm a full-time motor officer and accident investigator, and I have a love for the motorcycle community, and I want to see you make it home safe on your next ride. That's what this is all about. Let's get into what we do as motor officers to handle big, heavy bikes like this, all right? All right, so number one, we're going to talk about mounting and dismounting the motorcycle. As motor officers, we mount and dismount the motorcycle on the right side, the high side, because that puts us away from traffic. So after we've stopped a car, by law, they're required to stop on the right side of the road. So if we mount and dismount on the right side of the road, if we were to lose footing and stumble or something like that, we fall away from traffic. If we were to get off on the low side and we stumble, we may fall into traffic. So that's one of the reasons motor officers mount on the high side. But I found that it's a lot easier to mount on the high side if you use this right floorboard. For me, it looks something like this. Apply that front brake, hands on the handlebars, lean forward, push with that right foot, put my leg over, plant my left foot down confidently on the ground, and then now I am seated on the motorcycle. So tip number two, if you have any trouble uprighting the motorcycle once you've mounted the motorcycle, especially say you've got a passenger on here, that can add to the weight of the motorcycle, obviously. And sometimes it's hard to get the bike off of the jiffy stand. If you're on a little bit of a slope and the bike's leaned over on that slope, then this is a tip that helps a lot. So turn your bars all the way to the right, and then push with that left leg, and the motorcycle uprights itself almost. It is super easy to upright the motorcycle with the bars turned all the way to the right, even with a passenger on. So from that point, you just straighten up, and now you've got both feet planted. Now, if you find yourself having issues planting both feet flat, don't worry about it. It's not a huge deal. I wouldn't worry much about it because I almost never put that right foot down anyway. So what I'll do is I'll shift my weight over to the left side of the seat, and I'll put that right foot up where I keep it anyway, and I'll go ahead and keep my foot on that rear brake. So I've shifted my weight over here to the left side. My left foot is firmly planted, and I am confident in this position. The only time that I wouldn't stop with my left foot down, right foot up is if the terrain is a little questionable. So, you know, as you're approaching your stopping position in traffic or whatever you're doing, always be summing up the surroundings. If you're in a left turn lane and you know, the roadway has that natural slope to it to let the water drain off, well, left turn lanes, a lot of times your low side, your left side is actually a lot lower. So if you see that the left side is going to be way too low, well, if you put your foot down on the left side, even if you scoop your butt over to the left of your seat, it may still be too steep. It may not be ideal for you to put your left foot down in every situation. So if that's the case, just put your right foot down, shift your body to the right side of the bike, and hold yourself with your front brake. Now, sometimes that's not ideal for me. I don't like to just hold myself with the front brake. I like to keep my right foot up to keep control using that rear brake. But you can't do that in every situation. You know, there could be a lot of oil in the middle of the lane. If you've found yourself in the right part of the lane you're in, the oil could be accumulated, or you know, there could be gravel there. So just because I try 95% of the time to keep my right foot up and applied on the rear brake and my left foot down, doesn't mean you can do it every time. So getting off of the motorcycle is the exact same thing as getting on the motorcycle in reverse. I mean, obviously, right? But I wanted to go over how I do it. So right foot up on this floorboard, I'll go ahead and apply the front brake. Put my left hand on the handlebars, keeping the front brake applied, and I'm going to lean forward, back, putting my chest back over the tank, and I'm going to stand up with that right leg. So as you stand, if you're having a little trouble with that, you can also assist yourself by pushing off on the handlebars. So got my right hand on the front brake, right foot on the floorboard, and left foot is ready to be swung over. So I am leaned forward over the tank, and I stand up, and I'm kind of pushing off of the handlebars and swinging that foot over while keeping my center of mass, my center of gravity over the tank until that foot is planted and I'm secure, and then you can step off. All right, so let's say you like to ride with a passenger. Usually if you have a bike like this with this nice comfy seat, you bought one for a reason, because you've got a passenger that likes to go with you. I'm gonna go over how I would keep the bike in the position for mounting, for a passenger to be mounting. Okay, so you mount first the way I showed you, right? Go ahead and straighten your handlebars. I'm kind of shifting my weight to the left, okay? And I'm keeping the motorcycle firmly planted on the side stand or jiffy stand. And now I've got my floorboard for the passenger to load. So I get my passenger to put their left foot on the left floorboard, and they're mounting from the low side, and they're going to do what I did, except they can hold onto your shoulders or whatever. And so they got their left foot on the floorboard, they stand up while holding onto your shoulders as they swing their other leg over, and then they can put their other foot down. And once they get planted and still, turn your handlebars all the way to the right, push with your left foot, and be ready to catch it with your right foot. So you got the motorcycle uprighted now, your passenger is there, and y'all are ready to go off on your journey. All right, so what I want to talk about now is taking the guesswork out of starting in traffic. So here's the way I do it. It's the technique I've talked about in other videos, but it works so well because it keeps the motorcycle under power and you don't have to worry about a shaky start. And if you are riding a big heavy motorcycle, you don't want to lose your footing whenever you're getting started off at a light, especially if you've got a passenger. Whoever your passenger is, they trust that you've got this motorcycle thing down and under control. And there's nothing worse than disappointing a passenger by losing your footing and dropping the motorcycle. And we're going to cover that a little bit more later. So what I'm going to do if I'm starting off in traffic is I'm going to let the clutch lever out until I reach the friction zone. So I'm letting the clutch lever out, I'm touching that friction zone to know where the friction zone is. And that friction zone is when the bike starts to pull. So once the bike starts to pull, I'll pull the clutch lever back in slightly just before the friction zone. And that helps me so I know right where that point is, right where that friction zone engages. I'll go ahead and apply a slight amount of throttle because I see things are starting to change, things are starting to move. So I got just a little bit of throttle applied. I'm at about 12 to 1500 RPMs. I'm right there at the friction zone. I feel the motorcycle, it's ready to go. I'm going to keep the throttle at about 1200 and I'm slowly entering the friction zone. I feel the bike starting to pull. Now all I've got to do is take my foot off the rear brake and the bike starts moving forward. So I can see see right there, it's starting to inch forward. I'm just at the beginning of that friction zone, just touching it. So the bike's starting to pull. So as soon as the light changes, I can let my foot off the rear brake and I'm up and moving nice and smooth. All right, so that's the way I start off confidently in traffic every time and not have to worry about is the bike going to go when I'm ready for it to go. Because especially these Harleys, like this model with the 107 that's got the hydraulic clutch, that dead space is like this much. I mean, if you try to start letting the clutch lever off the bar and you're wanting to go at that point, what you'll find yourself doing if you don't have the bike ready to go, if you're not just prior to that friction zone, then you may be caught off guard and not be ready to go once the traffic starts moving, and then it's going to put you in a more frantic situation. You're trying to get the clutch lever out to the friction zone and you don't know exactly where it's at, it's not catching yet, and then once you hit it, if you don't have enough throttle applied, you could cause the bike to stall and all of these things. So the best way to overcome all that is do exactly what I told you. All right, so let's talk about stopping. As I'm slowing to a stop, I'm going to be ready to put my left foot down, and as I'm stopping, I'm applying the rear brake. I put that left foot down. And another tip that really helps me in many situations is if you want the bike to favor that left side, and that's the foot you're planning to put down, give the handlebars just a little bump, just a little nudge at that last half a second as you're stopping. Makes all the difference, and it causes the bike to favor that side. You can do the opposite if the situation calls for you to need to put your right foot down. As you're slowing to a stop, give your bars in that last half second, just as you're stopping, the bars a little nudge on the right side, and it's going to cause the bike to favor the right side lean. So that allows you to put the foot down that you're planning to put. So if I want to pull into a parking space, I don't want to just enter the parking space straight on because I don't want to roll backwards out of it. I want to be able to pull out of it. So when I size up the parking space, I'll make sure I got plenty of room to turn around to get in position, and I'll do it like this. So this puts me at a pretty good spot in the parking space. I've only got to tiptoe it back just a little bit, and I am towards the end of the space. That's exactly where I want to be. So, all right, so this is a perfect spot within this parking space because it allows me to pull out of the parking space. A lot of cars, like if this church was busy right now and there was cars parked everywhere, if I was trying to tiptoe my way back out of this parking space like this, it's much more likely for me to get hit by a car zipping down this little travel lane than it would be if I'm pulling out. If I pull out, it's just way easier to pay attention to what's going on. And in the police world, this is just the way we do it, because we need to be able to leave for an emergency in a hurry. And so we want to be able to face exiting the parking space the quickest way possible, which would be the way I've got it now. Another reason not to have your motorcycle all the way up against the curb is because somebody's going to whip into this parking space thinking it's empty, and they may be coming in at a rate and bump into your motorcycle, and yes, it's their fault, but it's going to cause you unnecessary damage and delay. So it's never fun to find a bike that's been damaged in a parking lot. And many times the person will back out and leave and never tell the owner of the bike that they've hit it. And I know this because I work those types of crashes too, all the time. So the truth of the matter is, sometimes you can do everything right and the bike still goes down. So dropping your motorcycle is not the end of the world. But if you drop your motorcycle for the first time in traffic, it's going to feel like the end of the world. So if you want to get over that fear and help yourself in the future, because it happens to the best of us, you never know. Occasionally there's a slippery spot, you didn't see it. Maybe it's raining and there's a slippery spot you didn't see, or maybe there's a little patch of that gravel that blends right in with the asphalt that you didn't see, and you put that foot down and the bike, it goes down. Yes, it sucks. It always does, but it's not the end of the world, especially if you're riding a big, heavy bagger like this and you've got these nice saddlebag guards and engine guards. Those things do wonders, and they really do protect your motorcycle. I've seen these things put to the test. So if you find yourself in this position, this is how to pick the bike back up. So first off, you want to come over here and make sure the bike is in first gear. Don't reach over the bike, you'll end up burning yourself. So make sure the bike is in first gear. Make sure your kickstand or jiffy stand is out and in place. You don't want to pick your motorcycle up only for it to fall over on the other side because you thought the jiffy stand was out. Don't ask me how I know. Squat yourself down. I'm going about halfway. I'm kind of like right here in the middle of the seat with my lower back, and my butt is kind of right in here. Got the bars, you turn them to the right, you do an underhand grip on that front brake, overhand grip on the saddlebag guard, keeping your back straight. You're going to just push towards the seat, and the bike is going to roll up because it's on an angle, it's pivoted, so you're not actually lifting the motorcycle. So just like this, got my back straight, and I'm just start pushing, push, little baby steps, and I know the jiffy stand's there to catch it. I'll push the bars back straight, straighten up any floorboards that might have gotten tilted upwards, and we're good to go. That's how you upright the motorcycle if it falls over on the right side. This is how you upright the motorcycle if it falls over on the left side. Thing to watch out for: if you've dropped this thing in traffic, reach under there, make sure you're in first gear. If you're in first gear, it's not like you can put the jiffy stand down on the other side. Just be aware that there's nothing to catch the bike on the other side. So as soon as you get the bike upright, you want to be able to put that jiffy stand down and lean it over. So it's going to look something like this. It's kind of similar to the other side. Turn the bars all the way to the left this time, since I'm on this left side of the bike. I underhand grip. I'm not going to pull in the clutch, so don't do that, because right now I am on a slight incline. I'm not able to hold the front brake, so I'm not going to pull in the clutch. I need the motorcycle in gear to hold me here on this hill. So turn the bars all the way. I do an underhand grip on this left hand grip, overhand grip on my saddlebag guard. And so I'm pushing myself into the seat as I lift the motorcycle. So again, lift is a bad word because I'm not lifting it. I'm assisting it upright. I mean, I'm literally pushing myself into the seat, and that makes the motorcycle stand up. So just like this, got the bars turned, right hand over, got my hand over this saddlebag guard, keeping your back straight. You just start step, 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 step. And then once you get the bike upright, keeping both hands still on the bike, you're going to make sure you got that left foot planted good, and you use your right foot to put your jiffy stand out. So once your jiffy stands out, you can lower it back down on there, straighten any floorboards that might have gotten been up, and you're good to go. So practice that, because practicing this and knowing you can do it relieves so much fear of dropping the bike. And I highly recommend knowing how to lift your motorcycle, whether you're riding a Harley or a sport bike, you need to lay it down and lift it up just to know what it feels like. And be sure you use proper technique like I showed you. That way you're not straining your back or anything like that. And that's going to help you out a lot. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Heart of Dixie Harley-Davidson in Birmingham, Alabama for providing this beautiful 2017 Ultra Limited. If you're in the market, be sure to check them out. If you got value from this video, be sure to give me a like, and I will see you on the next one. Let's continue to become safer, more confident riders together. Thanks, guys.